Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I appreciate that. Next, we're going to approval of the agenda. Right now, this is the time if there's any additions or deletions to the public safety agenda. If not, if I'm hearing no additions or deletions, may I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Vice Mayor Erbaum. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right. No problem. Hearing no nays. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. You guys, for the minutes, we'll have them next meeting. They'll be ready for next meeting. That is a promise. So we'll table the minutes until the next Public Safety Committee meeting. Motion to table the minutes till the next meeting. Can I have a motion for that in a second?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Erbaum. Do I have a second to table the minutes until the next Public Safety meeting? Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Moving on, hearing no nays. Acknowledgement of visitors or special presentations, we have none. Good and welfare, this is the time right now for if anybody wants to come up and talk about anything that's on the agenda, the public safety agenda for tonight. This is the first good and welfare. You can come up, say your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to come up and say anything about the public safety agenda as it is, or public safety tonight. There will be another good and welfare at the end for if you want to speak about other things. I'm seeing none for good and welfare. Moving right along to the agenda items. The first agenda item, you guys, is the text notification service. So this was in your agenda. There is nothing tonight to where we have to make a decision. This was something that came out of the Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force. They worked on it for many months. And so kind of like the way this started is because we wanted to find a way to have like an emergency text notification kind of like system. And there's options here. So what the Resiliency Task Force did is they went through and found different options where, like, you know, that they could bring to the council, and the council could go through the options, the features, the price range, and all those different type of things to eventually, you know, if they want to, the council can come up with a decision off of those options. So they did all the research. The Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force did all the research. Shout out to member Courtney Kirk. Shout out to member Sandra Valencia. Shout out to our village manager, Christia Liu. She helped out on that also. And that's what they did. So the way this text service will work, and we can hear about more about it next time, because what I'm looking to do tonight is pass it to the full council, because I want the other two members to be able to look at this information also and discuss it in the full council in detail, so that we could decide as a council if we want to have a system like this, and what system would we want to have if we want to have a system like this. The reason why this kind of came about and where this was birthed at was because when we had that ETA flooding, the task force said that there were a lot of people that dealt with the flooding, but that weren't really sure it was coming the way that it was coming. So we started to think about, we need a text system to where we could send out text to individuals for emergency purposes. And it could be any type of emergency purposes. The reason why I have it in public safety is because, for example, let's say if there's like some type of like BOLO for like an escaped convict. And let's say the escaped convict was last seen around like 90th Street. Well, then we can text everybody around 90th and 89th, and we can tell them to be careful or be on the lookout. So it's for emergency purposes primarily. That's the reason. That's the way it came to be. And like I said, it came to be primarily because of the flooding. And the Resiliency Task Force said, well, when we have hurricanes or flooding in the future, because we were getting reports, you guys, and Mr. Hugh Gladwin, who a lot of us know, he runs a very, very interactive website where he goes around and he charts flooding throughout the village. And it's up all the time. It's live. It's in the moment. He updates it all the time. He updates it multiple times per day, actually. And so that's the way this came about, because if we're having like a flooding situation or a hurricane, he can see from his data which areas are going to be flooded within the next like 6 hours or 12 hours. And if we have a text notification service, then we could warn those residents and help them prepare. The reason why we came up with a text notification service through the Resiliency Task Force is because we said, okay, we do have an email list and we can email people, but not everybody checks their email all the time. But everybody has a phone today, and if a text goes off, you tend to look at your phone for a text. And so that's why we came up with the idea of a text notification service to run through the police department, primarily for emergency purposes. And if we wanted to extend that to, say, text for, hey, there's a Village Hall, a meeting at Village Hall tonight at 7:00 p.m., hey, there's an event this Saturday or something like that, then we can extend it to do regular things also. But all I wanted to do tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Urbom and then to member Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. But all I wanted to do tonight was bring you this information, pass it through public safety to the full council. Then at the full council, I did want the other two members of the council to be able to go through it in detail, and then talk about this in detail at the full council meeting and see if we wanted to have something like this. If we did any of the options that the Resiliency Task Force researched, do you think they'll work for us? If not, then maybe we can think of something else or whatever it is. Vice Mayor Urbom.
In some of the discussions with the Resiliency Task Force, the question of are we able to have, a list of contacts on hand that essentially might possibly become public record, right? And so it sounds like if we do this, it would be an opt-in system. And then it also sounds like it would probably have to be essentially village-wide, because you wouldn't want to isolate the numbers by street, just because these will have the possibility of becoming public record, right? So people may lose control over whether or not some information about them personally becomes available. But it definitely sounds like this is needed. And then I think the distinction will have to be made with the residents that this is not the former police cell phone that we're talking about reviving. This is entirely different. This is not that. This is for again, emergency situations, specifically as it relates, to weather events. So it's going to be flooding, hurricane notifications, things like this. I agree that anyone should go to Hugh Gladwin's website. I'm a little dyslexic sometimes. It's Rio Chico 7, right? Is that right? I have it right? Okay, so yeah, and so I'll find out. But I've got it in my favorites. So I just click on a tab now and go and check it out. But it's outrageously accurate for neighborhood information. It's unbelievable. So, but as far as this text notification system, again, I think it's important at the beginning to let the residents know this will be an opt-in system, almost certainly. And then in addition to that, this is not a revival of the police cell phone. This is neighborhood notification in emergency situations. So it'd be great if we could get there, and it'll be interesting to see how it looks when it happens.
Appreciate it. About to go to Councilperson Ward. The website, you guys, is c7riochico.net. Letter C, number 7, riochico.net. That's what I was showing Vice Mayor Urbom. All right. And just for the record, before I go to Councilperson Member Lightfoot Ward, I totally agree with you, Vice Mayor Urbom. And this text notification service is a one-way service. That was one of the first things that the Resiliency Task Force spoke about, because they said they didn't want it to be like another gossiping type of forum or anything like that. So it's a one-way service to where like the police department or the village hall will send the text notification out. And I agree with you, it should be village-wide. We'll send the text notification out, but people can't text back or communicate back. It's a one-way text service. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I'm going to get yes, sir. Just want to give my fellow colleague an opportunity to sit down, say hello.
It's okay, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Perella is not on this particular committee,
Yes.
so we're good.
And you are officially saying he's present, right?
Councilperson Perella is present for the record, but he's not on the Public Safety Committee.
Yes, okay. I only have 2 questions. I don't know Hugh Gladwin's site. I do know Hugh Gladwin personally. I will look at the site. I thought about that myself. I'm glad we're not doing it on Nextdoor. But what about the emergency alert system? And the officers would have to tell me if that's tied in. On most people's phone calls, on most people's phones, there's a asterisk. Asterisk, there's an emergency, there's a, yeah. What's that common symbol that looks like a baseball and a dot? What's that symbol? Looks like a baseball and a dot, and it goes when you want to holler, ah! What's that symbol? Exclamation. There's an exclamation on most cell phones, and it says emergency alert. Is that tapped into, because all it does is give information. Secondly, what is the cost, if any, to utilize Mr. Gladwin's site or any site for emergency alert? And I think we should know that before we even take it to council to minimize thought. And before we take things to council, I think we should have a cheat sheet for the public so it would minimize any questions or concerns and also limit too much discussion unnecessarily. Just first off the bat, on my two comments is Nextdoor, which is unacceptable to me in this situation, and an emergency alert as a part of what's already on most people's phones, and it only goes one way. I don't know how the community taps into it. I just know that it becomes quite active when we have storms and other things happening in our area. And if there's not an answer to that, then that is one of the cells before we present it to the public.
I got you. Let's do the queue. All right. So as far as the emergency alert, this will be a Village of El Portal controlled thing for the Village of El Portal residents. This is not a general emergency alert to where Miami Shores will get it, City of Miami will get it, North Bay Harbor will get it. This is only for Village of El Portal, 100% controlled by Village of El Portal. That's the first thing. Second of all, as far as costs and things like that, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, there was a whole spreadsheet that was part of our packet. It's a whole spreadsheet that breaks down features, cost, and everything on there.
Well, let me apologize. I have not had access nor been aware of anything.
No problem.
Because I don't have the equipment as of yet. That probably is on me, but again, I'm asking basic questions and I don't expect answers. I just expect, yes, we reviewed that on your, is this packet you're talking about? It says services company, software platform.
There's a packet, yes, that shows all the
It's like
different
this 30
options. Yes.
like this 30-page something that I got to horn up on. That's fine. I don't mind. Since it doesn't print front and back, I don't mind. I'm just making it very clear that anything that goes to council, I hope we have a majority vote that it will go, and that we're information secure, that we know what the answers are, and we can put a cheat sheet out. That to me, a cheat sheet simply says annotate the important parts, the obvious questions that might be asked. One of the obvious questions is it a cost? You tell me, no, there's no cost. How Mr. My best friend, my good friend, Mr. Gladwin, will benefit from this, and is it educational to young people to do a project on it? I mean, does it have more than just when something just desperate or needs to happen that we start having alerts? So is it something that we can also make a project? We have a school in our entity, and I'm always thinking about how those kinds of things might benefit even the school. We're a tiny village, and it would be good to have something like that, because I like my alerts coming before I need to know what's really happening. So if we have something local, specific to the village, I'm all for it. I just want to make sure we all are conscientious about the bullet points so that the simple questions can be answered before we have a council meeting on it.
Yeah, thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. I think that if you look at the spreadsheet, it answers every question that is broken down, and it's not too much information. It gives all the options, all the costs, and it answers every question that would be asked. As far as Mr. Gladwin's website, I just gave that for an example, because he follows the flood. But Mr. Gladwin is not getting any money out of the website, out of this situation. He's not even in control of it in any way. This will be 100% controlled by the Village of El Portal government. 100%. I think that is something else that I missed out on, Councilperson Lightfoot Board. I want to answer all your questions.
Well, I'm not prepared to do anything. I'm not prepared to do anything. I hear you say that this 20-page, or whatever it is, has all the answers. But remember, I disclosed that I have not had opportunity to review nor to see this. So to me, it's like, okay. Okay, but I noticed that it's a cost, just in a quick glancing of it. And I'm not against it. I just don't want to spend 2 meetings doing this one thing. That's all. And I just want to be informed. If everybody here wants it and we can afford it, that's always going to be my touchstone. If we can afford it and it's just for that and we don't get billed unless it is activated, as opposed to a long, ongoing subscription, I don't think you'll have a problem with me wanting something that would be a benefit to the village as a whole.
No, I hear you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, and I agree with you. I think that, like I said, what I'm aiming to do, and Vice Mayor Urban, I'm gonna give you the mic in a second. What I'm aiming to do is to get this passed to full council. If it would pass tonight, it's only being moved to full council. It's not like it's going to be in place tonight. Therefore, I mean, what tonight is March the 2nd. Our full council meeting is the fourth Tuesday of the month. That will give you weeks to be able to go over it and then come to the full council meeting to where we can have a deeper discussion about the options, because it shows many different options. It shows many different different ranges and different options. And that will leave more than enough time to go through and be educated on the options, the variety of options. But Vice Mayor Urban.
All right, so if we did not pass this to full council tonight, then May would be the next time that we discuss this, and then we would be able to, in that event, decide if we're going to move it to the full council in May. So by the end of May, which the next week would be the beginning of hurricane season, we could still have a resolution on this. If my 2 questions are, do we need a resolution on this? Meaning, is it going to be heard at a single full council meeting, and then the manager has the authority to take that contract, right? And then in the event that that's all well and good, will we be able to begin the contract essentially in real time? Like, if we vote that night, will we be able to be up and running, by the next week? So those are my questions. Are we in the clear to go forward with this without, a resolution, but instead just granting permission to the manager to, go with the contract, or is it going to be more entailed than that? So if we did wait until May, what are the consequences, I guess, is what I'm asking, ultimately.
So when we do a resolution, and resolution usually more than likely, it says in the resolution language that resolution goes into effect upon the adoption of the resolution. So that's the reason why we don't pass resolutions at the committee level. That would be passed at the council level. So what we would do is, let's say if this is moved to March council meeting. If it's moved to March full council meeting, and at the fourth Tuesday in a few more weeks, then there will be a resolution to adopt one of the options. And so that's why I was hoping that we can move this to the full council, so that we can also hear Councilperson Dare Martin's, her opinion about it. We can also hear Councilperson Perella's opinion about it, and we can have everybody get that spreadsheet, look at it, and see what they feel, and come back with the question to see what they feel is the best option. Now, if we were to choose one and agree, at least 3 of us out of the full council meeting, then in that resolution, we can have that space left to where we choose company ABB network or whatever. So it doesn't have to be heard twice. It's not an ordinance. It could be passed through resolution. It just has to be heard one time at a full council meeting. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm scanning through this, I'm seeing various costs. Are these individual costs? It says simple resident opt-in by texting. I wish this was a Zoom meeting. Texting, it says off the bat, $216. Is that everybody or is that the village?
That's the village.
The village pays $216 no matter how many people opt in on this thing, right?
It depends on what option it depends on what company you're looking at and what option you're looking at. If you look at the different companies and different options, it'll say that, it's an annual charge, or it'll say, like, a flat fee, or it'll say per person, or it'll say per text.
I see.
Yeah.
Because I see another one that says $49 for winning contest. Then I see a high-quality UX interface, including mobile app, for $393.75. I see implementation of cost plus 75 cents, $1 a month plus. And I'm saying to you, if I gotta pay another bill, that ain't gonna work. I'm in retirement age right now. That's not gonna work. And last time I saw the census, there is literally about 45 to 65% of the residents that are retired or elderly in this village. So I'm always going to be thinking about the income bracket, the economic statistical measures of this village. I'm always going to be thinking about that. I love to have the service. I see that our neighbor to the north of us has it. I see Miami-Dade and all of that, but I don't see taxing. I don't see the village people subscribing, given the statistical data about the age limitation, the age and what do you call it? The salary, the income level of our residents. So this is something that I gotta pay every month.
Again, this is not something that the residents would have to pay. There's different options.
Okay, all those options I just learned. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And if it's something that's going to hurt the budget, because it's only going to be used when we have an alert.
So as I said before, when we first started this, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, so we can use it for just emergencies if we want to, or we can just use it for all emergencies and also general information. Like I said, there's a meeting at Village Hall next Tuesday at 7:00 p.m. We can use it for general information. There's a town hall meeting next Saturday at 10:00 a.m. We can use it for emergencies and general information if we want to, but that's part of that larger discussion when we make our final choice at a general council meeting. So it's up to us. It's up to us to carve out those details of how we want it to be used, if it's just for emergencies or emergencies and general information.
Okay, that's good enough. Okay.
All right. As I said, I was looking to move this to full council, so that Councilperson Martin and Councilperson Perella could also, be involved in the decision making. Like I said, we could choose one at a full council meeting. We could say we don't want to choose any of them at a full council meeting. We could say that we don't want the service at all at a full council meeting. So, but I'm just trying to move it to a full council meeting from committee. So, if I can get a motion to move this to a full council meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not ready for the
No
motion.
problem.
I really want to know what's in the budget. 'Cause every time we have the budget, the ones that I've been able to obtain, we always have this niche here. I want to know how does this impact the budget? I want to know that. I really do. Because it's going to be other things that are going to come out. And every time we have a budget, when the budget session comes up, that's the first time the residents ever know which way is up. Are we in the green, red, yellow, or blue? I just need to know where are we before we start adding on additional expenses to the village.
So,
Whole different subject, but I mean, these things come up, and then when we get to the budget, everybody going, whoa, stop.
So the budget is going to be discussed at the Administration and Finance Committee meeting, which takes place next Tuesday.
Yes.
If this is passed through committee tonight, it will not be brought up again until the full council meeting, which takes place the fourth Tuesday, which will be 2 weeks after we would know the budget from the Administration and Finance Committee meeting next Tuesday. Vice Mayor Urban.
Is it possible to move this item to the Admin and Finance Committee meeting and even possibly have the CFO offer what the long-term cost would be? Is that an option?
Absolutely, Vice Mayor Urban.
I'll make a motion to move this item to the Admin and Finance Committee meeting. And then worst case scenario, if it doesn't fit on the, I'll just stop there. I'll make a motion to move this item to the Admin and Finance Committee meeting.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Urban to move this to the Admin and Finance Committee meeting, which takes place next Tuesday. Do I have a second?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot.
I have no problems with the motion. I'd like to amend the motion to discuss cost implications on the budget.
So, yeah, so the budget is going over at the Administration and Finance Committee meeting. So if this is moved to the Administration and Finance Committee meeting, we will be talking cost. Yeah. All right. So do you have a second to the amendment of the motion, Vice Mayor Urban?
Yes, I'll make a second to that amendment.
Well, you really don't have to. You can simply accept the suggestion.
I understand, but I wanted to make a second for the record. Thank you. May I please have roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Roll call. Member Lightfoot Ward,
Oh, yes.
Vice Chair Urban,
Yes.
Chair Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Moving to the next agenda item. So at the last meeting, we spoke about traffic safety and calming solutions allowed and the traffic study process. Vice Mayor Urban brought up a lot of different options that he said would be, could be short-term traffic solutions. The village manager went back and the village manager spoke to the county and got information on what we could do, what we couldn't do. And then we also looked into the process of the traffic study. So we're looking into do that. This is just, this is not for a vote. This is just for an update. Vice Mayor, village manager, if you want to come to the podium and give us the information that you got as far as what we can do and cannot do for short-term traffic solutions and the traffic study situation.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Yes, I had a meeting last week with Miami-Dade County Transportation Engineer Dorita Rodriguez, who I've worked with in the past on this very issue. We had put it down for a bit because we were told we just could not do anything, and the study had been done the year prior, and there wasn't evidence to show that a need for lowering the speed limit would be allowed. That said, I met with her again last Wednesday. She understands our situation, and she talked to me about some options. Well, one option would be that we go ahead with our own independent traffic study. So I think that's going to be our best option. We will need to discuss that with our CFO and see those implications on the budget, but that will be the way to go. What we are not allowed to do is no extra signage to slow down traffic, no speed humps. At present, no lowering of the speed limit until a traffic study is presented to Miami-Dade County. They would have to approve the speed limit reduction, and they would also require that the village then maintain our own speed limit signs and enforcement, of course. We were also told that the rotunda, four-way stops, traffic calming painting on the roadway, painting is allowed after we get the approval of Miami-Dade County, but then we'd also have to maintain that as well, which, I think we wouldn't have a problem with, but nonetheless, but the rotunda and the four-way stops are not. So I'm moving forward, getting quotes for the traffic study. I just want to see what something like that would cost for our village. I was told about $50,000 from another municipality, but let's see what they say to us. So I'll be making calls and getting information to present. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Vice Chair Irvin.
Okay, so this is specifically as it relates to the county roads, 87th Street, Northeast 2nd Avenue, Miami Avenue, Northwest 2nd Avenue. What else is county road is?
Oh, our county roads are Northeast 2nd, North Miami, and Northwest 2nd.
Yes,
The-
and 87th as well. 80,
No.
It's not?
It is not a county road. It's a municipal road. It is considered a secondary feeder, but it is on the rolls as as an El Portal road.
So then we might have, so then do we have more leeway with 87th Street?
There's no leeway
There's
at
no
all
leeway.
until we get that traffic study,
Okay.
until we get an approval. The leeway would
Okay.
be that they would lower the speed limit if we can show that there is a
Okay.
need. I mean, considering the size of those streets, the narrowness, I really, I think we may be able to.
And then in terms of no extra signage, if there was signage on on private property, if the purpose of that signage is to encourage traffic slowing down, does that create, I mean, is that such a technicality that we would need legal opinions on whether or not that would, or would the county, I mean,
The county will remove the signs if they
even if
see
they're
it.
on private property?
If it's related to speed lowering,
Okay.
yes. But
Okay.
I was just told if they see it, they will remove them.
Okay. We might ask them about that specifically, because if there were residents who were willing to have some signage, that could be helpful in the meantime.
I did ask. and
Oh,
she
oh, you did ask.
Yeah, and she said
Okay.
if they see them, they're removing them.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
But that they
And
aren't
then,
approved by the Florida's.
And then the painting
dot-
only at intersections that are not four-way stops, is that right?
Yes.
Four-way stops and rotundas, no painting.
Only because we wouldn't have enough she's stating we'd have to put them in ourselves.
Right.
And also, it wouldn't be enough to accomplish our mission, which I think we should go for the lowering of the speed
Right.
limit as opposed to doing that, because then we still need another one, and we would need to do more than we could probably afford.
And then in the past, when I think of lowering the speed limit, I think of, we would need to, our goal would be to lower it to 20, I would think. I know the goal is going to say 25, right?
Yes,
Right.
she said they wouldn't go as far as anything lower than 25.
No, really?
Yes.
So no matter what we do, it still won't go lower than 25?
Right.
Okay. I mean, I get it on the larger roads, but on 87th,
On 87th, it would
We-
be lowered to 25, but now the
But we
county
couldn't get-
roads would not be lowered. They
Okay.
would remain where they are at 30.
Gotcha. Okay. And then additionally, if there could be some design improvement on both Miami and Northeast 2nd, then that would, this would be obviously cooperation with the county because they'd be doing that. But if we would all, so, okay, all right. So if we had a traffic study that was just so glaringly obvious that needed that design, the county's probably still going to fight us on any type of design change on those
That's
two
right.
avenues. Is that right?
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't think
Okay.
the way to go about that, the Northeast 2nd Avenue or
Right.
North Miami Avenue would be
Right.
trying to lower speed. I think we would do better with design or
Yeah, right.
limiting for Northeast 2nd, I think we've already talked about sustainable roads. I think that's what you coined
Right,
it.
right.
We want to do something different that's not just about lowering speed limits.
Right, but like
So
improved
let's-
medians and things like this.
So I think that may be the way we are
Okay.
going to be more
But
effective.
the traffic
in
study
getting-
is still going to be the avenue to get
Yes,
the
for our
county to cooperate with
streets.
that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good. That's all I have.
Okay.
Councilperson Member Lightfoot Ward.
Madam Manager,
Yes.
so on 88th Terrace, we have residents that have the little green boy on the bike in their yard, who can tell me not to put the little green bike with the little boy on it in my yard that says, please slow down? That has worked tremendously on 88th Terrace. We're the only terrace. Now, can you imagine $50,000 or more to do a traffic study when we would pay less than that to encourage everyone to consider the little green boy or girl sign in their yard? The major thoroughfares, I think we want to work, as you said some time ago, I think we want to work with the major cities on when they're doing something like that, come look at us for us. I think they'd be appreciative of that, as opposed to us as a little city trying to expense a traffic study. $50,000 to tell us what we already know they're going to tell us is asinine. But I think when it comes to, because what I can read from news, what's that little magazine called that they put on your floor every week? On your, the Biscayne Times. They did a beautiful article on the Biscayne Times about calming the traffic on throughout that North Miami and 2nd Avenue. Did you see it? It was wonderful. And I understand we need a bigger body to get that. But through our municipal streets, or the local streets, it has been easy. All we did was put out the little boy on the bike, and people just said, oh, there are children in this area. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little thing, yeah. That was the easiest thing 88 Terrace did. And we didn't have the people just rolling. Now down 3rd Avenue, come on, guys. That's a speed disaster waiting to happen. One person, that's all it's going to take. It's a straight shot from the time you get into the village on our side of 90th Street all the way down to the painter's house, Mr. Jasper's house. That's a straight shot. And I've had 2 incidences of folks rolling up on, I got the big tree in my yard, I got the big thing in my yard, because it almost hit the house. Lost control. Now that's something I would be upset about, but I know already they're not going to say anything about that. But they did put the signage. The county did. They came out and they said, we don't have any signage over. No, you don't have any signage over here. Okay, all right. And they put the signage, 25 miles an hour. That's it, guys. Don't be speeding on this. But they don't. Every driver then, he's got your habit.
No.
See, so I'm thinking of how not to spend something we already know the answer to. We already know the answer to.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, if I can just answer that. You know, yes, owners can do what they want to do. I agree, but I'm just relaying the information that if they see it, they'll remove it. I mean, I know I've seen signs up and they've remained up. Maybe, you know, they just haven't seen them. And I know that there is a benefit to having something that's lower level and, you know, something that can be seen and that makes people slow down just so they can take a look and read it. But I'm just relaying to you the information about the additional signage being not approved by FDOT and they will remove. So if it's removed, there's nothing we can do to refute that.
No.
The study, yes, you're right. We think it is too fast, and I agree. But we can't lower the speed limit without Miami-Dade County's approval. They've already said no. So if we show them the study and really have something substantive, because our, you know, data hasn't moved them thus far. We're just trying to get some motion on this. So I won't make any moves about $50,000 until we all talk about this and come to an agreement. I want to see what a study would cost for our smaller village. And so once I get that, I'll share it with you all, and we move forward. I will work at your discretion on that.
And to the extent, Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna end this. To the extent we can get in writing, what would be feasible for a small city from the county's level, in writing, what would be feasible from them, as opposed to you just communicating? They send us a formal letter telling us, because we're not the only small city in Miami-Dade. And I've been through some cities that have the simple stuff. I want to know what they did. I want to know what I really do want to be friends with the county on this, because we can get a lot more done. They're going to be the ones that fix the Biscayne Boulevard. They're going to be the ones that fix the North Miami. They're going to be the one that fixes Northeast Second Avenue. They will. We're going to be part of that development thing. But I'm talking about what you're talking about, coming through my little terrace of 35, 40 houses. And I'm talking about the Third Avenue, which is a straight shot, and they just really go through that, and I'm in the corner lot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just a second. So in the meantime, so I agree that, you know, we are certain that we are confident we know what a traffic study is going to show us, right? There's not going to be anything surprising to us in the traffic study, right? And then it's just a matter of how much impetus that study gives the county to do things. And for me personally, if they won't go lower than 25 on 87th, there's almost, I mean, even if we do get their approval, what they allow us to do even at that point, I think is honestly a little bit limited. So, which further puts me in the category of putting the traffic study almost as the lowest priority. And then if we do have the ability in the meantime on some of these intersections on 87th to get some bright colors, you know, throughout that intersection, there's enough other hot spots in town that have done this for a long enough period of time that people recognize that that is like an active pedestrian crosswalk, right? And so part of the problem is that there's so many crosswalks throughout the county that have never been maintained that people tend to disregard crosswalks. People tend to disregard school zones, you know? So unless the school can afford to get, you know, the lights and the billboard up, nobody bothers to read the signs of what the hours are of the school zone. So if you don't have that, everyone just speeds through those school zones, right? And so in all of that, if what we can do in the meantime, if we do have permission to put bright colors down on those intersections that are not four-way stops, I think we do that, try that, and then, you know, if similar to an opt-in thing, if there are residents, so maybe this goes through public affairs, maybe this goes through admin and finance, I don't know. Maybe it stays right here in public safety. But if there was some manner of mascot almost that we wanted to create, you know, signs that people would be able to opt in and say, I'll put that in my yard, and then make it kind of an El Portal themed sign, right? Then I think I would be fairly confident that we'd be within, you know, guidelines of being allowed to do that, you know. So maybe it's that works so maybe it's not strictly just a sign that encourages people speeding, but at the same time, maybe it kills two birds with one stone and lets people know that it's also, you know, like a crime watch area. Like it lets people know coming into the neighborhood that there are people who are out and around and are participating outside. This is not some, you know, dead zone with just asphalt to just, you know, listen to your engine roar, you know? So that's all. I mean, it's fascinating because as a speeder, it took me years to realize that by the time I put my foot down, the engine catches up, builds up the RPMs, and then actually puts power in the tires, and then actually creates something like acceleration, right? This is not an instantaneous process except for with some of the electric cars. But the point is, by the time you actually get the RPMs up, you're already at the end of whatever block you're at, and you're already having to get back down on the brakes. And so I do think that some PSA type announcements to aggressive drivers regarding just what they do in terms of like maintenance on their car, for example. You could do a PSA to let people know that, you know, trying to speed to a red light is going to cost you $300 a year in brake replacements, you know. Things like that I do think are effective. I don't think that yelling people is ever going to work for speeders. They see it as a challenge, and you know my considerations about speed bumps, so there you go.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Irwin. Thank you very much, Councilperson Member Lightfoot Ward. I think that everything can be done simultaneously, you guys. Like first of all, when the village manager said that she's spoken to other municipalities and some of them spent $50,000. She didn't say the cost of it is going to be $50,000. She said she spoke to other municipalities, and some of them paid $50,000. So I see no harm. It costs us nothing to get 3 quotes for a traffic study. Like, why not even try? It costs us nothing to get the quotes. So she can just call and get the quotes. That costs $0. And we can look into what you're talking about, Vice Mayor Urban. And we can look into what you're talking about, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. But if we're going to solve speeding and increase safety in the community on our streets, let's look at everything. Before we close out, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, Vice Mayor Urban, anything you want to say before we end?
No, no.
Good?
ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam Manager.
Thank you.
If we could have those 3 quotes to come back to the full council, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, so the next thing, you guys, the next 2 items, pretty much the next 3 items kind of all go like hand in hand. I want to give a big shout out and say happy birthday to Chief Magnuson. Chief Magnuson is not here today. And Chief Magnuson is usually at every single public safety meeting, committee meeting. And he's the one that usually will give us any type of police update or police report. We do have our lieutenant standing in his place, but a lot of things Chief Magnuson and I spoke about in detail, and today is his birthday, and so he is not here today. Now, the things that we spoke about in detail, they're not pressing, so this is not information that has to be covered tonight, but I do want the lieutenant to come up, introduce himself, come up to the podium, and if there's anything about the police department that is kind of like pressing or on his mind, he could just give that as a quick report, and then we'll be done here. You guys can ask him any questions or tell him any comments, then we can be done here, you guys. Both are together, yeah. So any updates as far as the police department in total or the automobiles? I know automobiles is always a big issue.
Yes.
You know, if you go back to the back, you know, you see many police cars, but the majority of them don't work. But just an overall, you know, overall report about anything that might be pressing, anything that comes to the top of your mind about the police department as a whole.
Good evening, Lieutenant Alex Mendez, and that's correct. Our critical needs are the vehicles and manpower, and those are the subjects that we keep coming back on, and those are the most important issues that we have at the time. The vehicles overall, with regard to for the patrol officers, and then the manpower to enhance the midnight crews.
Yeah, the midnight situation is big, and that's something that is a continuous thing that I'm always fighting for, and I have things in the works that hopefully will bring that to fruition. The manager has been helping me out with that, and Attorney Geller has been on top of that also, trying to fix that situation. And I think that we have you know, sunshine on the horizon when it comes to that. So I'm very excited about the hopefully not so distant future when it comes to our nighttime shifts. I do want to say and give a shout out real quick to Councilperson Martin. How you doing, sister? Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to Full Moon also, Vice Mayor Urban. Any questions or comments for the lieutenant?
No, I think we're all just looking forward to a resolution at the end of this month to see clear to get the vehicles that plan in place and going. So, and then we'll be able to turn all of our attention to an extra officer and what we need in terms of staff. So I don't really have a question, only to say I'm looking forward to having some solutions concretely to some really big issues here at the end of the month. So thank you. Sincerely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Urban. Member Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, any questions about the police department?
I haven't heard him say anything. Hi, Lieutenant.
Hi.
How you doing?
Very good, thank you.
I don't know what that means. Police department, automobile status. I thought you were gonna tell me whether they were raggedy, you need some more. The motor just fell out. You know.
I will tell you that.
Okay, tell me about how many cars we got?
Well, we got 2 spare vehicles, of which those 2 spare vehicles, to date, since I've been here, I believe spent right at probably, or maybe a little bit over $30,000 trying to put everything back into repair. We only have 2 spare vehicles to show for it, and those are very old vehicles that keep needing further repair.
Okay, so what you're saying is our fleet is decrepit.
It is, and the majority of those vehicles that you see out there,
Yes, how old
They're-
are they?
not only that they're old, is that those vehicles were given over from other departments,
We always do, yeah, I
and
know.
pretty much when you do that, you get all the surprises that come with them.
Okay,
And many were not operable. Many are so old that you can't even get the ABS, which is the brake components for it. And at that point, those vehicles are no longer usable for us.
so so when we get new, I'm asking the real questions. So when we change out our vehicles, you all don't just arbitrarily change out the vehicles?
Well, no, it's not arbitrary. What we would do is we'd go into the new vehicles. The vehicles that we currently have will be maintained as spare vehicles. The program that we're looking at would sell all those vehicles that are out there currently. That money would be part of the purchase and would be in a program where we no longer have to do the full funding for vehicles. It allows us to
I-
renew the vehicles every 5 years.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's an expected expense,
Yes.
and they're not charging us for mileage, and it'll keep the village with working police vehicles
So you
all
have
the
a
time.
plan. I'm looking at automobile status. The plan is what you were talking about. I just wait for to see what
Yeah,
the
I was
plan
just gonna
comes
say,
out with. Yeah, okay, that's all, because I
yeah.
know you can talk.
The chief and the manager have the plan. Yep.
Okay, they got a
Yep.
plan?
Yes.
Okay, got a plan, good. And the next one says Police Department General Status Update. I guess you'll take care of that. So we got a plan.
Correct?
We just know we cannot keep operating decrepitly.
Correct.
That's what this is about.
Yes,
I agree with you completely.
thank you.
I just didn't understand which way was up. Now I know what north looks like. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilperson, Member Lightfoot Ward. So when we get into our meetings and stuff, so there's been a plan we've been working on for months. And so, you know, it's just a lot that's going to have to be caught up on, but all this stuff is in the works. There's a whole fleet plan that it's already in the works. So there's a lot coming down the pipe. As I said, the chief, you guys, is usually the one that reports on all this stuff, and it's his birthday today, so he's not here. So, but yes,
Is it in writing? We got something in writing?
we do. And I think the manager can get that to you. She'll email that to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the lieutenant? All right. Hearing none, you guys. Thank you very much, Lieutenant. I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see you. Okay, you guys. So as far as the tracking report, there's nothing pressing on there, and there's some things that I wanted the chief to be able to go over with you guys. So I'm going to move the tracking report. We'll go over that. We already updated in the first committee meeting that we did, Vice Mayor Erbaum, and I'm still going to continue some of those updates that we did from the first committee meeting back in January when we had it. And so we're going to update that, and in the next committee meeting, the chief will be here, and there's certain things that I want him to talk on in particular and in detail. All right? Do we have any questions or comments before we move on?
That was the next committee meeting you want
Yes.
to talk about? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good enough.
All right. All right, thank you very much, you guys. Is there any unfinished business, general orders, before we move to the next thing? No? We're good? New business, is there any new business for the Public Safety Committee? No? Hearing none? Yes.
Just really quickly, Public Works and I have been noticing an inordinate amount of illegal dumping in our parks and in our public receptacles. Yard debris filling the cans after we've already, cleaned them out. The mayor and I went through Sherwood Forest Park on Friday, and it was clean and pristine, and by afternoon, when he walked through the park, he saw that the trash was all piled up again. I really can't stress enough to you, please don't dump illegally and put these items in the public trash cans. They're there for all of the residents. And when they're filled with coconuts and palm debris and yard debris and construction waste, it really hinders our abilities to take care of them. So I just ask that we please refrain from doing that. Our police department is trying to really keep an eye on those things too, but we can't be everywhere at all times. But the illegal dumping has become an issue again. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. It's become real bad, you guys, where people, as the manager said, in the morning we went through Sherwood Forest. By the afternoon, this was Friday afternoon. You guys know we don't have staff on the weekends. By Friday afternoon, it was filled up with coconuts and things like that, to where people couldn't even put their doggy do bags in there. It was filled to the top. So imagine if that would have stayed like that all weekend. We called it Friday afternoon, right when everybody was getting off. We were actually trying to catch the people to come back because it was already like 6 p.m. almost. And I was like, we have to get these trash cans. We have to empty them again. And they had just been emptied a few hours before that. So, any questions about the illegal dumping? You guys, we're good. All right, we're moving on. Good and welfare. So good and welfare. So right now, anybody can come up and talk about anything that's on your mind, anything at all. You have 3 minutes. All you have to do is come up and say your name and address for the record, and you can ask us or comment on anything at all going on in the village. All right, seeing none. Moving on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Public Safety Committee meeting?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vice Mayor Erbaum. The Public Safety Committee meeting for Tuesday, March the 2nd is adjourned at 7:29 p.m.